just a minute. Yeah. Did you finish your chores?
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Sorry, we're a little live. My daughter just walked in and started talking to me. So, just getting set up here, and then we'll get started around 10 o'clock, okay? There we go. So if you're starting to join us, go ahead and say hello. We are making cards 3 and cards 4 today. And you'll want to have the template out available for you so that you can watch, follow along when cutting your paper. And then I just placed the papers that we cut on last Saturday in a little baggie, and so that I didn't lose anything. And so we'll just cut the papers we need for today, and then we will put the cards together. So make sure you also have some card bases. I just need to. All right. Okay, just grabbing a couple extra things. I'm wanting my paper trimmer. And then I'll jump on to the live myself so I can see who's here today. If you're joining us, I'd love to say, if you want to say hello, it's always fun to see who's here. Where's my... All right, looks like Jennifer's here, and Lori, and Susan, and Roxanne. Good morning to all of you. So happy to have you joining me. Let's get a little more light in here. There we go. And Linda's here, and Marianne. Hello. Okay, so last week we made cards 1 and 2, and these are the cards. And the fun thing about the using 2 sheets of designer series paper is you can actually get 2 of each card. So these are my versions of card 1, and then here's the version of card 2. Now, because I had already cut all my paper before we started this class, I decided to try it on this beautiful, is this the art gallery paper? Let me look really quick. What is this paper called? I can't remember. This one is, oh, the Fine Art Floral Designer Series paper. So that's what I'm cutting today. And I wanted to share with you how I put my cards 1 and 2 together. So this paper it's a little busier for me, and so I did a couple things differently. So here's my card 1. You can see it's the exact same layout. Let me show you the original card. So we still have the same layout of the pattern paper, and then we've placed our images off to the right side with our greeting in the center. And then I still did a bow, but it is bigger because that ribbon is bigger, and we kind of shifted it over. So, because it felt kind of heavy on this side with that bow there. So that was my card 1, and here's the version with the other paper. And then my card 2. So if you look at my original design, these 2 patterns in the background are different. But when I did that with this pattern, it just felt really busy. And so I decided to instead just do the same pattern on each for that background for each piece. And it still has that separation for the cardstock behind it. And so that's a choice that I made just because of the busyness of the paper. And then we still kind of did the same thing with a greeting in the center and then some flowers. And I decided to go with this one image and just place it off to this side. Okay, so those are some other options with your cards. I'd love to see what you are making with your template. So what papers you're using, what stamps, what accessories. So if you're willing to share, it's always fun to see those, and you can share them here in the event or in the Facebook group Creative Chelsea. Either of those places would be great. Looks like we have more people who are joining us. Hello, everyone. We've got Sue here and Claire. Good morning, Claire. And Hildenelle and Belinda. It's great to see you guys. So it's 10 o'clock, so let's go ahead and get started. So last week we cut our paper into three sections at 4 inches each. And so that's what we've got here. I've got one full 4-inch by 12-inch piece that I still haven't cut. And then we just cut the pieces we needed for card 1 and card 2. So what we should have left is this little piece here that is about 2 5/8 inches. So I'm going to go find that piece. I'm guessing it's this one, but I'm going to double check and measure it. Yes, so it's 2 5/8 inches, and then it's 4 inches across. And we're using this for card number 4. Now, card number 4, you actually only get one of these cards, and I'll show you why in just a minute. So you're going to go ahead and just cut those two pieces right in half, and you'll get 4 pieces like that, okay? And that is going to just make one card. I'll show you the design. So for that design, we're using all 4 pieces to fill in kind of like a checkered board look in the background. So that there's only one of this, but you could probably mix some other pieces together and make another card. All right, so then we have also got card 3. So this piece here, this strip here that we have already used up that whole piece. And then we've got a piece that's good for our card 5. So we're not going to touch that. So now we're going to come over here to card number 3, and that's going to be our full 4-inch by 12-inch piece. Okay, so this is my 4 inches by 12 inches, and I have both pieces together so I can cut them at the same time. And I'm going to start by cutting. So the 4-inch here is the width, so I'm going to cut 3 inches down. And cutting those at the same time. And then we'll cut another one that is 2 1/4 inches. And I'm cutting these actually from the bottom, but you could cut them from the top, either way. You're going to have the same amount of paper left over. And then that's it. That's all we need. Oh, I just realized that I said that this was 4 by 12, but we did remove 1.5 inches from it. So I should have leftover piece should be 5 1/4 inches. So let's just double check that. Yep. So this was really more of a 4-inch by 10 1/2 inches. So just the end piece should be 4 inches by 5 1/4. Okay, and then I'm going to put that piece back in my baggie so that I'm holding onto it for next time. And we'll finish those cards up next week. So I'm going to place these off to the side, and I'm going to grab now the papers that I'm using for these patterns here. So let's start with card number 3. So card number 3 is the one we just cut with the 2 pieces at 3 inches and 2 1/4. And I have done some prepping beforehand just because last week's class went a little on the long side, and I wanted these to be a little bit faster. And I think I mentioned after that class that I would prep and stamp before. So I'm using the stamps. I have 2 stamp sets that I'm using. I'm using Lovely You for the greetings, and I'm stamping those on the banner die that coordinates with the Always in My Heart stamp set, which is where I'm getting the flowers. So that die is the Floral Hearts die, and it also includes this beautiful heart die. Let me grab that so you can see. So it has this beautiful die here. I love all the details in it. And then it also has that banner. So that's where I'm getting the banner from. And I do share how to stamp your greeting on the banner using a Stamparatus. It's just got a little tip there. So if you want to check that out, that's on the first video for cards 1 and 2. All right, looks like more people have joined us. Hello, Melanie and Catherine. It's really great to see you guys. I don't know if I said hello to you, Belinda. I think I did, but just to double check. Now for the stamping, I did a stamp on, stamp off for these background, stamp off, stamp on. I always get that backwards. So for these background images, I stamped off on scratch paper and then I stamped onto my cardstock, and it gives you that lighter color. And then I did the outline with just the straight on full color. Okay, and then all my colors, I've listed those in that first video, and as well as they're listed in the event. If you find the picture with all the supplies, you can find the list of the colors I've used there if your desire is to make these cards exactly as I have. But it's always fun to try something new. So if you're into giving that a try, I'd love to see your other options, like things that you've made. Okay, so enough talking. Let's get to making these cards. So you're going to take your card base, and this is, I think this is Smoky Slate. And I'm going to add these pieces. So I'm adding the larger one on top, and then the smaller one is at the bottom. And I can flip them over and try the different pattern, which I think I'll do for this card, because it's fun to see how those different patterns work with these floral images. So I'm just placing a little adhesive on the back and adding this. And I just realized I don't know if I've cut that vellum piece yet. I'll have to double check if I have that. I could even do this flower. That would be really pretty too. Lots of fun options when you have double-sided paper. Sometimes there's so many options, it's hard to choose what you want to do, right? Okay, so it looks like I'm missing the vellum. So let me grab a piece. Vellum is one of those things I use a lot of on my cards. It really creates a nice place to place your focal point so that it's not distracted by patterns from paper. I hope that makes sense, but I do use it quite a bit. Let me grab a ruler so I can measure how big that is. Okay, so this vellum piece is 3 1/4 inches by 4 1/2 inches. So it's just 1 inch smaller than your card base. So 3 1/4. Now you don't have to use vellum. You could even use cardstock, or you could use some of that pretty. So for like in this suite, there's some really pretty gold acetate that has a pattern on it. You could use something like that as well. But the goal is to kind of mute the busyness of those background papers so that these elements really pop up from the card. So that's one thing I love about it. So I'm going to add some adhesive right here in the center, or where those two pieces meet, and that's where I'm going to be covering up the vellum with my greeting. So one thing about vellum is it does show your adhesive behind it. So just be careful where you add it. Now I'm using this nice large die here. If you don't have a large die, you could just do, a grouping of stamps or images that would be really pretty here as well. And then I do still have a little couple pieces of silver foil behind here. So I'm just going to kind of take a minute and pop all these out. Looks like we have more people joining us. Hi, we've got Carol and Karen. Hi to you guys. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you guys had a nice morning. My husband and son are out. They kind of went camping up in the mountains. And so my girls and we made sweet rolls this morning, and they're actually in the oven. So if this goes a little long, I may have to jump out for a second and get those out of the oven so they don't burn. But we started them early, and I thought they would be done, but it took a little longer than I thought. So, okay. So I hope you guys are having a good morning as well. So I'm just going to use glue dots here, and I'm going to place them behind these leaves because it's a nice open or a nice covered area, I guess, for glue or adhesive. If you have the adhesive sheets, you could have added that to the paper and then cut it out, and then that would be a really easy way to add this to your card. Okay, just a couple more. I'm going to just tear it right there. Okay, so now I'm going to place this at an angle just for fun onto my card. I'm going to add my banner. I'm just going to fold on those score lines and then use my bone folder to make a nice crease there. I'm going to put some dimensionals here on the back. Sorry, let me close my door. Hey girls, I'm doing my class, so let's be quiet. Okay, so if you have dimensionals, you can easily use these edges just by snipping them. And I'm just going to place a couple in the center and then some glue dots on the ends. Barbara says, such fun to bake with your girls. Yes, they do. Both of them actually love to bake. My older girl, who's 8, she loves to make brownies. So we always have to have some of those mixes in our cabinet so she can just, on a whim, bake what she wants. So that is really fun. Okay, so press down on the dimensionals, and then the glue dot will just kind of fall in place and give it, press down just so that it doesn't pop up. And then the little element we're adding just for a pop of color is just up here in the right corner. I'm going to slide in a leaf first and just kind of place that up in the corner underneath the banner. And then we're going to add some adhesive on the back and some ribbon. And I'm at the end of my roll. I really hope it lasts me. So I'm going to probably just do 8 inches for this. If I had plenty, I'd probably go a little bigger just to make sure I had enough ribbon to go back and forth. But I think this will be okay since it's a smaller element. So I went with 8 inches. I'm going to make it just a little bigger on those loops. I love how this black and white twine goes with the flowers. It's kind of a nice juxtaposition, I guess. And then this just kind of goes up there with the dimensional. You can place it right over the twine just to hold everything in place. Press down pretty firmly to make sure it connects with your cardstock. And then that just goes up in the corner. And then if you want to add some bling, I did add the Opal Rounds to this. I pulled them out. What did I do with them? And my desk is really clean, actually. I cleaned it up yesterday. So hopefully I can find everything I need. All right, so then I've got my Take a Pick tool. These are a little heavier, so sometimes the Take a Pick tool has a little harder time picking them up. Just going to place those off to this side here. So a large one up at the top. We'll use the pointy end for this. And I'll probably do 2 small ones down at the bottom. There we go. That one's done. Nice and quick. Sue says, love the silver foil heart. Such a pretty card. Yeah, it has that nice touch between, you know, the geometric and the florals. It's really pretty. So let's go ahead and move on to card number 4. So we mentioned that card number 4 uses all 4 pieces of that card. Let me find. Oh, there it is. Okay. So for this one, we did vellum for the heart. So you see here that I've cut that all out, and it's a very, very subtle. It's more of a guide for me as I place my flowers around it. Okay, so that's kind of the purpose of the vellum on this card. And we've got our 4 sheets of Designer Series paper all cut, as well as our images and the greeting. And then I took the heart, so when you cut the foil out of there, you're going to have that leftover heart piece from that piece, and that's what's going to go in the center for our card. Thank you, Pam and Debbie. They both say lovely cards. So I've just got another piece of Smoky Slate cardstock for my card base, and I'm just going to add these onto my card. There is a little gap between the pieces. So there's about 1/8 of an inch of a gap along the edges, and then maybe more of like a 1/16 of an inch gap on the inside. I'll show you that in a minute. So just try to get your edges to be about the same all the way around, and then you can see there's a small gap there between those two. And then I used, I wanted to kind of do, like I mentioned, a checkerboard. So my 2 gray pieces are opposite each other on the card, as well as the 2 blue pieces. And I think that just helps your eye move around the card so that it doesn't get stuck on one place. So you have a nice movement, and you can see here again a little bit of a gap. So we'll start by adding the vellum, and I'm just going to do the same thing I did with the silver. I'm going to add some glue dots to the back underneath those leaves. So one thing about Colorado is lots of people have dogs. And so those are, if you're hearing dogs barking, those are my neighbor's dogs. And we also have tons of squirrels in our backyard. So anytime they're outside and a squirrel shows up, so much barking. So sorry about the extra noises. Okay. So this goes in the center of our card. I'm just looking for this bottom and this point here to line up in the middle, and then just press it all the way down onto those glue dots. And then this is just going to fit nicely in the center here, but we do want to pop it up, and then we'll tuck in our flowers around it. So use some dimensionals and just make sure that they're not too close to the edge. You want them more in the middle so that you can tuck those flowers around it. Catherine says that she loves the stamp and die bundle. Yes, so Catherine says she may have to get it before the bundle sale expires. So this bundle, the Always in My Heart stamp, and the coordinating dies are a bundle right now. And at the end of June, that bundle price will expire, but these products will still be available in the new 2021-2022 annual catalog. And so there's plenty of time to get the products, but if you do want to save, I think it's 10%, then you'll want to get them before the bundle price goes away. Okay, so now we get to do the fun part of just adding the images to the behind the heart. So just kind of tuck those in all the way around. I'm using glue dots. I really like this for something like this because it leaves the edges open, so you can kind of keep tucking around each one of these elements as you go around the heart. So you can see I'm not exactly following like the dies. There's the similar images on the die, so like this little yellow flower here. I'm just kind of, you know, doing what I want to do, how I think the colors look good together as they go all the way around. Now here at the bottom, we're going to be adding our in the middle, we're going to add the greeting. So we don't necessarily need to add some flowers right underneath that area. So I'm kind of moving now down to the bottom. I'm going to put a little yellow one down here at the bottom. Tuck that under the heart. And then I'll put a green leaf. Let's see. Roxanne says, do you have a PDF for the cards? I do not have a PDF, Roxanne. It was kind of a project that I made. Well, it was a project I made for the artisan group that I am lucky enough to be a part of. And so I didn't make a PDF, but I think I've added it to my blog. So if you go to my blog, I think I did. I'll double check. But there will be, I think there's written instructions on my blog. So I don't know if it will be up today or like Monday next week, but there will be. And they're kind of just your general directions. Like they're not super specific. Like it will say, you know, follow the guide and cut your paper. And then, you know, stamp your images in your coordinating colors, that kind of thing. But if you're interested in that, you can check out my blog. And my blog is just creativechelsea.com. And then over here, I'll add a leaf. I had a little stamping mishap here, but I thought it turned out still okay to use, and I can just kind of tuck it underneath and no one is the wiser. So I hate it when there's a little issue, and I just always want to use up all my little pieces. And then you can see here how that looks nice right over that. So we're just going to do the same thing we did before and fold along those score lines. Let's see. Catherine says that she printed out the cutting guide before you got started this morning. Yes, the cutting guide, oh, I folded that in the wrong spot. The cutting guide's very helpful in making these cards. I think that is the piece that you need the most, because that's going to give you this layout here, and then you can just really decorate it however you want with whatever stamp set you're using, and it can look really beautiful. I think I heard someone comment on last week's video that their cards took them a long time, and because they like used different papers, and I think that is just something that happens when you're being original and creative. Because when I'm designing cards, I know I'm going to spend at least an hour on each card, sometimes longer, depending on if the creativity is flowing or not. So I added some dimensionals here in the middle to kind of pop it up. Oh, I forgot my ribbon. we'll just tuck it in. Well, it's not on there quite. Yeah, we'll just kind of pull that up gently. Okay. Oh, that came off. All right, so dimensionals, I'm just going to rub those dimensionals off and then I'll add some new ones there. But I forgot that there's a little piece of ribbon that sits against the heart. So let's add that next. So I'm going to use a glue dot here. So I'm going to use these 2 glue dots that are on this glue strip. Oh, I was saying how being creative takes a long time. So if you're not following someone's directions exactly and you're doing like your own designs, you know, I think it does take time to be creative and to make things the way you like them. So I'm going to do 8 inches again here. I'm matching my ends up and I'm going to stick that middle right on that first glue dot. And then I'll just wrap back and forth just like I did on the other card. And that might be a little bit on the small side for this card, but we'll make it work. And then I'm taking this second glue dot and sandwiching it together. So now I have this piece that has 2 glue dots on it. And then I'm going to place it right in the middle of my heart at an angle so that's kind of going with that shape of the heart. Then I'm going to add those dimensionals back to my banner. Melanie says, yes, creativity takes time. And Catherine says she's like that too. Any changes does take longer. I agree. All right, so that looks cute there. So I'm going to go ahead and add that right down onto my card. Okay, so I've got dimensionals here, dimensionals under my heart, a cute little ribbon there, just to kind of break up that solid foil, and then we'll add some opals. Maybe I'll use the paddle, that might be better for these bigger ones. Come on, underneath, there. And we'll just kind of place those off to this side. So I've got a large one, a small one, and then another large one. Oh, that one didn't even come off this. This one here still has its glue dot on there. What? All right, there we go. Okay, and that card's now all done. So pretty. Okay, so I am going to, I just want to show you really quickly kind of how I'm prepping to work on my other cards that I've made, the floral cards. And so what I've done here is I've just stamped a bunch of flowers in the coordinating colors that I like that go with these patterns of paper. And same here with these ones. So I was thinking we could just take a minute and I'll just kind of walk you through what I would do for these cards. Because both these cards use these larger dies, and this stamp set and die set also have this larger, this says just want to say, and then you put like another greeting down there. So I thought here, because these patterns, I don't think those patterns really go super well together, I'm going to flip them over and use the previous like the backside for the 4 square card. And like I did before, probably offset those colors so that they're like that, and then cut this from some gold foil because I like how the gold looks with this greeting. So I'll flip that over on this side. So that's going to kind of be my main focal area. So that will be in the middle. And then I might take, you know, like a yellow flower here and pop it up on that side. I maybe would take, I don't know, maybe this one over here on this side. Or maybe something like that, and then put this in the center. Okay, so something like that. So I'm still kind of focusing on the center for my design. I'm still using a little gold foil, and then I've got these really fun layered flowers that I made that I can pop on there. Okay, so that's kind of my idea for that one. And then for the one that we've got the different patterns, Probably would keep the solid pattern at the top and then do the busier pattern at the bottom and then do some flowers, kind of similar to how I like kind of the red one with the yellow. I think that's pretty. Or I could use the bigger flower here. And what was our design is this big one. That's right. So I'm going to put the just want to say, and then maybe put the flower up behind it. Okay. And then maybe I'd use my thicker ribbon at the bottom instead of the banner, just kind of acting like the banner. So those were just some ideas. I'll go ahead and finish making these cards up today, and we'll share them next week, or I'll put them in the Facebook group. So thanks so much for joining me. It was a fun morning. I just heard my timer go off for those sweet rolls, so I'm going to go run and check on them. But I hope you guys have a great Saturday and enjoy creating something beautiful today. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.